are following a delivery vehicle, a scooter full of goats.
Hi guys, good morning. Today is construction day 80.
The beginning of a new work week. Update on the absenteeism that we had last week. One guy came back, Jerry, the foreman. He's feeling much better, but the other 4 guys are still out. I did ask if we can get an update on them, and they said that they are recovering and they're feeling better. They're just a little weak. They needed another day, so their fevers are down, and so we got that update. So we are happy about that. So Jerry's back. So he's the foreman of the site. So today they're working on the main beam, and we had another site survey today. It was scheduled. So I'm going to talk about that on the update up at the site. But I have another showcase for you guys, and this one is a real interesting one. It's William and B from Thailand. So here's their photo. So William and B is from Thailand. They met back in 2008, so 14 years ago, and they've been a couple ever since. And they built, and I'm going to do my best to say this, Udon Thani, Thailand. Udon Thani, Thailand. They built their dream home, 2-bedroom, 2-bath house, and I'm going to show you a couple photos. So what'd you guys think? Nice dream home from Thailand. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house. They have their own rice fields. They actually have a little coffee shop out front that they have coffee and shakes that they sell. So real nice house. Originally William's from Scotland, and he retired to Thailand. And he would come back and forth from 2008 to he retired every year. He'd come and visit B. And then eventually B would go to Scotland with William. And she basically was 6 months in Scotland, 6 months in Thailand for many years. So they're finally retired, and it was a great home build. Congratulations, guys. The house is fantastic. So we're going to go ahead up to the work site and get you guys some updates. Okay, so like I said in the intro, we have 4 guys out still sick. We did get the foreman to return, Jerry. He's feeling much better. But I want to go ahead and explain one more time, and I want to explain the overlap of the beams. I don't think I've done that on any video. So the finished height right there for the beam to the right, that's 80 centimeters high. So the beam itself, the concrete beam, is 40 centimeters, and then 2 block is 40 centimeters for a total of 80 centimeters. And that's going to repeat on that side. Now the center beam, 2 things is going on. One, it'll go up 120 centimeters, so 1.2 meters. So the beam that you can see, they took the form off. It sat over the weekend and dried. The beam there is again the same 40 centimeters like the beam is here, but they're going to go, instead of 2 block high, they're going 4 block high. So it'll be 4 block plus the beam, so that'll be 120 centimeters across. So that's number 1. But number 2, there will be overlap of the beam. So on this side, it'll come out 50 centimeters and go up to meet the height, which is 120 centimeters. So 50 out, 120 up. On this side, it'll go out 2 meters and then up 120 centimeters to come over and meet the top beam. So once again, I'll stop the video and show you what the finished product will look like. So then with the overlap, the question is, when you look at the 2D design from the architect, you can see that it appears to be two separate beams, even though for strength they're all tied together. So how do we accomplish that? So what they do is that 50 centimeter overlap here and the 2 meter overlap here. What they do is once the wall is all in place, they will do a semicircle chip out of the concrete, smooth it out, and they'll go in a few inches, and then they'll paint the inside of that black. And then the rest of the beam here all the way across will be white. But when that 50 centimeters is painted black and the 2 meters here is painted black, it'll be the appearance that they are actually two separate beams. All right, so today's pool update, you can see that they are starting the steps that'll lead out of the pool to the house. So it'll be a total of 4 steps. Let me zoom in. I'm walking on the coping, so I'm being a little careful. So here is the steps. So there'll be a total of 4 steps. And then the 5th step will be the coping. But if you can see, and I've mentioned this before, the 2nd step will be an extension coming out 6 feet, and that'll be a bench. And what we did today, we did another mock-up. So what we did was got a chair, and we measured to make sure that the height of that bench is correct. So from where the water line will be to where the top of the bench is will be 18 inches of water. So what we simply did was I sat in a chair, Wilma sat in a chair, and we went from the chair up 18 inches, and it's right around chest level. So we're confident that that's a good level. I didn't want it too low or too high, so we kind of met in the middle. And we've made some adjustments to the steps. Like that bottom step is going to be just an inch or two shorter than the rest to achieve that 18 inches. So basically you're going to come down 2 steps, and then you can scoot right onto the bench, or come 2 steps more with that last step being the floor of the pool. So again, this will all be tiled, but you can see that they're starting the steps today. All right, so now on the other side of the pool, you guys are getting to see the water feature come to life. So they have their blocks there, but this water feature is 2.3 meters long. It's going to be, when it's all said and done, 36 inches high. So it'll be 35 inches high with a 1-inch piece of granite or quartz. We haven't decided what type of stone we're going to put on it yet. And then there'll be 2 water features, 2 fountains that'll spray water out. They spray out 2 meters with a 1 meter spray. They're adjustable, and they will come through this wall. So I'm going to jump on the other side and show you the bar side. So you can see here the back side of the water feature. So this will be eventually cut. It's going to be cut right around here, and then we have the 1-inch pipes. So basically we'll elbow up and then out through the hollow block on both sides. So there'll be another elbow coming out for the water feature, and then we'll put another wall right about here of a hollow block up, and this will all be rendered and tiled on the outside. So it'll be rendered and tiled with the same tile that we're going to use for the coping, the mosaic. And then this will eventually be all concreted, and there will be an overhang. So the granite or quartz will overhang, and then this will be all concreted. We'll be able to put stools here. So it'll be a water feature / bar. We're also going to have 1 electrical outlet right there for a mini fridge, And this will be a nice area to sit and have a drink and take a look at the ocean. So we did our second solar site survey today. I did not video that site survey because it was very similar as the first one. So we now have had Solar Pro on site, and N Solar, EN Solar, was here today, and they also did a site survey. So if anything, I'm getting educated on how solar systems work. But I think what's really important is the prep work. And both companies were very similar in what they recommended we do while we're in the construction phase, just to save time. And actually, Ensolar, the owner, was here on site, and he said if I did these few things that I'm about to explain, it would shave off 2 days of him being on site. So he said it typically takes about 5 working days to put a system in this size, and he said that it would be only 3 if I did these prep items. So right off the bat, he said that having 2 panels is a great idea. So this is the second guy who said that. You guys know this is the main panel, and here's the main conduit coming in. So this is coming in from the pole. So what we need to add is a pull box. So a pull box is going to be installed right up there. So what a pull box basically is, and I did not know what it was until just a couple days ago. I'm sure if you guys have some electrical background, you know what it is. But basically the main line coming from the pole will actually go into that pull box. And it's basically a splitter where then 2 wires go in, 4 wires will go out. So 2 of the 4 going out will come down this conduit and electrify this panel. The other 2 will actually come down and be directly hooked into the solar, which would be here on this wall. So the main line, it would split and come in and electrify the inverter. So that would be step number 1 of some pre-work, is to, when the main line actually gets run, have it go into, let's call it a splitter, they call it a pull box, and then that would be step 1. Step 2, he said this is great, nothing more needs to be done. This will be embedded into the wall once it's rendered, and then he said that from the inverter there'd be 2 lines coming out of here to electrify this panel. So no more work to be done there. So I'm glad we did that. But where work needs to be done, and both companies actually gave me 2 different recommendations, slightly different. So they both asked for another pull box approximately right here at the 5 or 6 foot mark. So again, this is the dirty kitchen. The panel is right through the door, the back door right there. And they said they really love the fact that everything is close, and the fact that the panels will go right there, because you actually do lose wattage when you have distance from your panels to your inverter. So they recommended 5,000 watts for us. So they would install 6,000 watts of panel, that we would lose 1,000 watts just in this short distance from there down to the inverter. So 6,000 watts of panel to a 5,000 watt inverter. So you guys got to think about that. If you're a really far distance away, you're going to need more panels because you'll lose through the wires some wattage. But what the pre-work we need to do, and this is great because this is still in a construction phase, and I already talked to the foreman, he said no problem. One recommended 2, one recommended 3. 3 additional 1-inch conduits with another pull box here. So a pull box installed in this wall with 3 conduits running to where the solar would be hooked up. So one recommended 2, one recommended 3. So we're going to go ahead and do 3 and have this work done. So there'll be a pull box here. There'll be 3 conduits running up this wall, up through the beam, past the beam, up into the ceiling area. And what that's for is the main line that comes into that first pull box. The wire will be split, one to that panel, and then one will come down the first conduit to go to the inverter, and then coming out of the inverter, going up the second conduit, coming back down this conduit to electrify this. So that would be the second conduit. Then the second company said we would like a third, because if you do net metering, we would have to run another wire up through the third conduit, back up, all the way across, back down, and go out to the pole for the net metering. So if we do that, now it actually makes sense, I think, to do net metering, because the difference in the price is only 40,000 pesos. Both companies charge the same. So for 40,000 pesos, they do the complete hookup to the grid. So if you actually harvest more wattage than you use, it gets fed back to the electric company. And they said that they give you 50%. And again, I would have to confirm that, because the first company said it would be a little less. But this guy said, no, they give you 50%. So if you pay, I think the going rate here is 12 pesos per kilowatt hour. So that's about 24 cents per kilowatt hour charge. That the electric company, if you have more harvested and you feed back to the grid, they give you half of that, or 6. So 6 pesos back to the electric company as a credit. And then whatever your usage is throughout the month, they would deduct whatever you fed back at half. So it's still not a good deal, right? You pay 12 pesos for the electric, and when you sell it back to them, they only give you 6 pesos back. Now, again, I cannot say that that's a confirmed number, because that's what the owner of Ensolar said. But I would have to, get the details on that. But obviously, it's going to be less. So even if it's 4 pesos back, it's better than nothing. So the payback would only be that 40,000 pesos. And I said that there would be no other charges. He says, no, that would be totally hooked up with the meter. Everything is 40,000 pesos. So we'd have to consider that. So if we do a 5,000 watt system with a 10,000 kilowatt hour battery, we could not get away with a 5. We would have to step up to the 10,000 kilowatt hour battery. That net metering does make sense, because we would assume that we would not use all of the electricity. He would think that the 10,000 watt battery would be fully charged in about 4 hours every day, so 4 hours of sun. And then the rest of the day, you could be feeding back into the grid and getting a credit for when you happen to use electricity. So that kind of makes sense. So now that we've had 2 companies on site, they're both going to give us quotes. They both recommended the same size system after they went through our usage, and we'll see what they come up with price, and I'll share that with you guys. Now, a little side story. I talked about the 2 companies we couldn't find. I actually found the Visayan Solar on Facebook. So I actually sent them a message, and they responded. So I'm going to arrange them to come on site, and we'll see if they're a real company or not. But they did respond, and they said that they were actually over in Cebu this week, and that he was going to reach out to me on Friday. So I'll have at least a third site survey done with Visayan Solar. Again, found them on Facebook. So that is the update with the site surveys for solar. Hey guys, real quick, I want to do a quick addendum on the video I just shot. So one of the things I did forget about the 3 conduits coming down, I didn't mention about the wires from the panels. That'll be coming down the conduits as well. So I didn't mention that. I mentioned all the other wires that'll be coming down and going up these 3 conduits, but I did not mention about the panels. So I just wanted to add that so you guys are aware.